Quack. Well then, I am your host, Adam Jamail.
And I'm Aaron Schroeder.
That is right, and this is the Pac-12 podcast, the most official, unofficial Oregon Ducks sporting podcast on the web, footosphere, and Aaron.
Do I look... Hey, everybody that's watching this on YouTube, leave a comment. Do I look tiny because of how far away I am from my camera and how close Adam is to his camera? Or is that just me in this moment? Leave a comment.
We do kind of have a Lord of the Rings.
I look tiny.
Behind the scenes, forced perspective. I'm Gandalf sitting closer to the camera, and you're Elijah Wood sitting a little back. I will say that. I think it's good. Oh.
Hey,
he zoomed in. It got me. Good. That's nice. And you got a little living mascot. Looks a little bigger. Yeah. Look at you, master of the OBS. This is the Pac-12 podcast. As you can tell by the random banter at the beginning, we have less to talk about. There is less football. However, we are preparing for a big bowl game. A big bowl game with Bo Nix. That is right. Bo Nix will be in that game. Probably not our backup Ty Thompson.
Adam?
Yeah, what's that?
Can I ask for something?
Of course you can.
Last week, we were not able to actually get our number one best friend on the show, as he's been on the show every week since we found him online, because once we saw the treasure that was there, is it possible that we could call him up and just get him in here now, and maybe we could start a show with our guy Hyth?
You mean dessert first?
I kind of want to go divert. I know that you are about to get into some really good shit.
Okay.
But I kind of also want to have Hyth on so we can get into some really deep shit that maybe we missed out on last week.
I get it. You sound like most of the listeners of this let Shut up, Adam. Where's Hyth? And I don't blame you.
I'm so sorry.
Let us. Yeah, absolutely, though. I think that's a great transition. Well, first of all, I'll tell you this, Aaron, because I want to break this news to you. You probably don't know. Ty Thompson is in the transfer portal, so most likely will not be playing any of this game. Bo Nix will be playing this game, which is pretty cool.
That actually kind of I hate letting people down, you know. That's a tough one. I feel like we let him down. How long had he been on the team doing nothing?
Well, you know what I'll say? Not doing nothing. He's being a backup quarterback.
I guess he played some time.
Well, it's not even that. It's being a backup quarterback is very much something. And I'll tell you this, Aaron,
is it?
We would be letting him down if we didn't put whoever the best player is at QB. That's where I'm at right now. It's a cutthroat business. It's funny that a lot of the conversation about this is always centered like on the quarterback. Like, oh man, they never got to start. Oh, that. But if it was like, you know,
well, it's a human, and we want to feel connections to humans. Empathy is a real thing. You can have it. Adam.
No, but we have so much more for the quarterback than like if it's a safety that's trying to crack the starting and then they never get the state and then they transfer.
Dude, that is some I mean, there's like racist, misogynistic type shit inside that, I'm sure.
Well, I wasn't really talking about that, but
I mean, for sure, that's why it's embedded, because he's like a power player. Well, he's so quote unquote important and in charge.
It is an important position. That's why it is.
Every position is equally important.
The only position.
See, Karl Marx said
it's the only position that can win a Heisman, so it's clearly the most important.
Dude,
Bo Nix didn't win.
And then look who they gave it to.
Jaden Daniels, whatever. Pac-12 legend.
I'm pretty sure you called it, though. You called it. I think you said if they go by this, they're going to pick Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I figured once Bo lost the game, they weren't going with him.
Yeah.
It was either he was going to win. But whatever. Well, now that we're talking about the Heisman Trophy, now is the perfect time to bring on our guest, because he goes on and on about this stuff. He loves this conversation, especially post actually having given out the award. Hyth of Addicted to Quack, resident film reviewer, managing editor, also host of It Never Rains on this podcast. How you doing, Hyth?
I'm well. How are you?
I am doing good. We are ramped up.
I'm doing the best I can with what I have.
That's about it. Well, we talked last week about the Pac-12 Championship Game, mainly about our feelings. Aaron apologized to Camden Lewis as the only one who wasn't fucking up in that first half. Washington really showed up early, but also it was pretty awesome that it was a close game. However, we would still love to talk about that most painful game with you, what you saw on the field. And specifically, listeners, if you want something to actually read, actually see these clips, kind of the big plays we're talking about, Duct Tape Film Review of Oregon versus Washington is the article over at Addicted to Quack. Came out on December 5th. Definitely read that. Check our Twitter account because we'll have that linked as well. But yeah, Hyth, we'd love to hear some of your observations on this game.
Well, it was in many ways a crazy game because so much of my preview of the game wound up being irrelevant because unexpected things happened. Mm-hmm. The deep background on is what happened with Washington's season. Mm. So kind of backing up two steps. Mm-hmm. The University of Washington football team is supposed to look in a certain way. Specifically, Michael Penix, their quarterback, is an excellent quarterback within their passing offense. Their system is designed in order to get big passing plays. How it does so is a long and involved conversation, but when operating nominally, that's what it does. It operates really well between the 20s. It struggles a bit when it gets into the red zone. They sort of need some other help when they get into the red zone, but between the 20s, absolutely lethal passing offense when it's operating nominally. The story of Washington's season, however, is that right about the time when they played Oregon and immediately thereafter, Penix seems to have suffered some sort of physical ailment, and no one really knows what exactly it is. A bunch of different excuses were offered, for him, none of which really made a ton of sense. And frankly, I still don't really know what it is because none of them fit the time frame for. It's honestly a huge mystery.
Oh wait. Being that I'm in Seattle, I actually do have more information on this.
That's good.
It wasn't that it was an injury. It was actually recovery from biotech implants that they put inside of him.
That's surprisingly, that's the first I've heard that. So that's pretty good to know, Aaron. Thank you. That's our inside man, Aaron.
Yeah. It's biotech.
So the crazy thing is, and I mean, you can just see it. It's plain as day if you just look at statistically, starting in week 7 and through week 13, his accuracy goes from about 75%, completion rate to about 55%, or it's or 72 to 52. It's just this huge drop off. And when you're watching his film, it's not that he's become somewhat inaccurate on all of his throws. He's still a great quarterback on most of his throws, but then on a whole lot of his throws, about a quarter of them, he just is complete. He throws it into the stands. It's way off. What the hell was that? And and obviously because their offense is totally. Because their team is built around their offense and their offense is built around his passing and it's not a particularly efficient passing offense because they tend to throw the ball away a lot. They sort of wait till they have the throw and then they make it. If he's not super accurate when the throw is there, it all falls apart. And that's what it had been happening to them for 6 weeks. It's why they were playing all these really close games with sort of bad teams. And so Oregon and Washington had 7 common opponents. and Oregon like blew them all out, and Washington struggled with all of them. And so like going into that game, and like Adam, you remember when we talked to Roman Tomashov, like, we were both in agreement, like we don't really need to know what this physical ailment is. There's no such thing as a physical ailment that lasts for 6 weeks and then suddenly clears up on the 7th. It's either like you can have something that you struggle with for like a week or two, and then it clears up, like you get
long
sick.
COVID.
Well, you could throw that out there, but for it to be like 6 weeks and then all of a sudden you're feeling
exactly. And I mean, I can tell you from watching the Apple Cup, which they played on Saturday. They play the Apple Cup on Saturday, and they played Oregon in the conference championship on Friday. Like 6 days earlier, it's the same rate of those crazy throw the ball into the stands thing. And so that's, obviously, and so my entire preview article is written in the context of well, this is what his accuracy is, and this is how it's affected the team, and this is how it's affected the numbers, and this is, it's flipped. For example, one of the things in my original article that I wrote before their October game was that because of the way that their system works and the way that, Penix's accuracy is, you shouldn't blitz this team. It's a bad idea to blitz. You should instead back out into coverage. And then in my update article that I wrote, the day before the game, or it actually published, the morning of the game, was that actually the numbers have flipped in the back half of the season. It's now, defenses now gain an advantage by blitzing this team. And there's a few other examples where it's now a different team. Like the fact of this, 20% decrease in accuracy has changed the equation in a bunch of different ways. And another way that it's changed the equation is they are now running the ball much more frequently between the 20s. They're not actually very explosive at running the ball. They just sort of get, because they don't actually open up giant holes, and their run game is not very elegant. They don't do the sort of when you watched Oregon play Wazoo and a bunch of other teams were Bucky Irving and Jordan James were running for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 yards. Washington doesn't get those. They get they get a couple of yards, and then the running backs sort of lean into the contact, and they get another couple of yards, because their run game's just not that's the type of run game that they have. It's just muscle runs.
It's taking advantage of a defense that's fully prepared to stop the pass is what it feels like.
Sure.
And you get a sucker punch in there, but enough to get a first down sometimes.
Exactly. And their running back should be credited too, because he's he's the type of guy who doesn't fear that. He goes into it and he pushes forward and he gets that. But it's
a lot of people were saying maybe he should have gotten the game ball. Would you agree with that one for that game?
Well, I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, but I just I wanted to be clear that was also something that they had been doing in these 6 weeks. It was increasing the quotient of their rushing, but it's not like they had this dominant run-based attack where they were running for 15 yards a clip the way that teams that really run the ball do, say Oregon and some other teams that are they have a balanced game in which they can get 15 yards running the ball as well as they can get 15 yards passing the ball. Washington's not a team like that. It's sort of I would describe it not like sucker punching. It's more like rabbit punching in boxing. Anyway, so that's what Washington is. And I am sure that is the team that Oregon prepared for going into this game, because why wouldn't you, So that's the number one crazy thing that happens on the Friday game, is that suddenly Penix is back to nominal. Which I guess, if I can briefly say, good for him. I don't wish for anybody to be hurt. It's not how, I want, games to be played is against injured players or anything. And he definitely doesn't deserve to be in pain or discomfort or anything. I'm genuinely happy for him. And especially if you know anything about his injury history when he was at Indiana, it's genuinely fantastic. It's just, I register it for those who maybe weren't paying attention and was well, Washington sucked, for all of these 6 weeks, and and all these other defenses contained Washington easily. Oregon couldn't, so therefore Oregon must suck. And I'm like, no, there's an explanation, like that's not what was going on. It's like he stopped doing that airmailing thing. They were back to the nominal version.
That is so curious. I am curious what that is.
I mean, we'll probably never know.
We also had some perfect key injuries for just to be, I don't know, screwed up. Like, I feel like the Birch injuries, the overall injuries to our secondary, which felt
and there's a few other things, Washington, that's the major one, but there's a couple other things too where they finally get their full complement of wide receivers, and they have very good wide receivers. Meanwhile, Oregon is down Jordan Birch, who's their best edge player. They're down, Jaleel Florence, who's one of their starting cornerbacks there. Meanwhile, Washington gets back, some Washington is sort of fully healthy for the first time ever. Oregon is probably in their weakest state in terms of health. It's sort of like all of this sort of happened simultaneously. I think probably all of those things were handleable. The game changer is the thing that's fundamental, that makes a qualitative difference in how you would go about just planning for the game is Penix being a 75% passer instead of a 55% passer, because that really does change things, and probably wasn't part of Oregon's game plan. Now, so having said that, it's still a winnable game for Oregon. Yeah. They probably need to recognize it, but how soon do you recognize that's what's happening? Because like I said, when Penix was in that state, it wasn't he's somewhat inaccurate all the time. It's 20% of his passes would go awry. Well, how do you know when a guy is no longer having the 20% of his passes go awry thing? You need to gather something like 10 completed passes and be like, wait a minute, we were expecting 2 of those to have gone wrong by now. They didn't. Is this crazy thing that he's back to full health that nobody was expecting to happen? Did it actually happen? Oh my God. Okay. We need to change up everything about our approach now, so, I kind of understand why, because even 2 weeks later, I'm still what the hell? How did that happen? Even as I'm not cursing the stars that this occurred, because it's a kid got healthy. That's a reason for celebration, but it's still it's baffling that it did. There's no such thing as an injury that lasts exactly 6 weeks. That has that kind of effect.
Can I
go
look?
ahead.
I hate going here. I hate going here as much as y'all hear me, as y'all hate having to hear me go here. But when you look at these kinds of numbers and you literally are it's mystifying. I literally have all the data and it's mystifying. Do you, Hyth, ever tend to want to go smells like collusion? Maybe he's downplaying his abilities and throwing them away because he needs to keep a certain point.
You mean he's that video of the call an ambulance for not for me or whatever?
I mean, they came this close to losing the Apple Cup. They would not the margins that they were playing with were just too fine.
And Arizona State.
Okay. I just can't. I just always feel like Vegas is in the locker rooms. If you know what I mean.
How much would they have to give Michael Penix, who's already making some NIL money, to be Michael Penix, we know you would like to go to the playoffs,
dude,
or whatever,
who's not to say that NIL money is actually the payment?
I am.
They're yo, we're gonna
so
I'm going deep state.
That sounds like bullshit, Aaron. Continue. Okay.
The other thing about Washington's offense that sort of, because their passing offense is now operating nominally, here's sort of another misconception that I think a lot of people have about this, or maybe it's an emotional thing. So Washington is running the ball. during the sort of bad phase of their offense during the 6 weeks prior to this game, they were leaning more into their run game. But like, as I sort of took pains to note, like, their run game was never this like awesome get 15 yards type of run game, except for when they played USC. But like, everybody does that when they play
that's
USC.
The bad defense that's like allow 15-yard runs.
Yeah.
So like when it's a little unusual that when they got their passing offense back, they still in the conference championship game still ran the ball that much. It kind of makes sense that they do it in the red zone, but it was always part of their plan. Like, if you go back and read my October 14th article or 13th article, like, that was always part of their plan in the red zone and always something that they were relatively effective at doing, because it's just like, hey, getting 3 yards in the red zone was A, always part of their plan, B, always something that they were kind of good at, and C, always something that every team likes to have in their pocket for the red zone. Like, it's not unusual. And also something that people should understand about Oregon, like, when you adopt a mint front defensive structure, like, that's what you've chosen as your defensive vulnerability. Like, every team, every defense has to choose a defensive vulnerability because you only get 11 guys. And like,
well, no, that's not true. There was Washington got a 12th guy on one play early on, if I remember correctly.
And
Yeah, the ref.
Geez, that fucking guy. Fucking stripes.
The ump that got in the way.
Yeah. I wanted him. Now, I wish he would have pick sixed it, honestly, just fully gone with it.
The thing about a mint defensive structure is that that's always, you have to pick some sort of vulnerability, and the way, and the reason that teams, including Alabama, Georgia, all these teams that win national championships choose this structure is that that's the thing that hurts you least, is just these muscle runs for 3 yards, because who the hell is going to run 3 yards like, if that's the only tool you've got, like, you're never going to win a game that way. The only way that's ever scary is that if you also have a scary passing offense, right? Like, which Washington now has. And so anyway, like, the fact that, like, look, man, if you watch that film, like, I feel like a lot of Oregon fans were like, oh, Oregon is giving up all of these rushing yards. I feel so bad about it. Oh my God, why is the defense so bad at stopping the run? They are not. Look at the actual numbers. Watch that actual film. I know it's painful. Oregon's really not giving up that much on the ground. It's like, 2 yards, 3 yards. It's little muscle run stuff. Or like, oh, Washington's offensive line, they're fantastic. Look at these big holes they're opening up. No, they're not. They're making the same screw ups that they are in every other game. They're not like leveraging these huge holes for big runs. They do get one or two, but 90% of the time it's just these little like, their adjusted line yards. If you pull up the advanced box score, their adjusted line yards is like 1, and then it's Dylan Johnson, who again is a good running back and he doesn't fear contact. Like, he then muscles for another couple. Like, they're getting like 3 yards. It's just that they're willing to do that. And then when they get into the red zone, they muscle. Like, one of the couple of clips that I put in my article, it's like he has to run over his own dude. Like, there's this great clip in my article where Tatum Tuioti wins the play. He's shoving the tight end laterally into Dylan Johnson's path, right? He's completely crushing that tight end. Tatum Tuioti, true freshman, completely laterally shoving that dude, and Dylan Johnson runs over his own tight end to get 3 yards and convert the first down. Like, it's all about the running, so like, this also has not transformed. Like, Washington's rushing attack doesn't transform, and Oregon's rushing defense doesn't transform for this game. The only thing that's transformed is that Washington now has a functional passing offense again, and if a team is willing to just do 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, in the run game, if that's all they can do, then a Mint defense just doesn't care about it, because you're not going to march the field doing that. And if that's all they can do, eventually you'll just say like, okay, this enough of this, and we'll put more dudes in the box. Well, if they are going to do that and they have a lethal passing game, you can't put more dudes in the box, because you need to be able to defend the pass, right? Or at least you need to be able to try. Which is sort of the other thing. Oregon safeties are in sort of a bad spot. They, Oregon just needs to overhaul its safety core, and they need to, like, I don't know. I had this thing that I was talking about all year long, where like I really didn't understand why they weren't playing Nico Reed at the slot corner, and instead were playing Tysheen Johnson in coverage, because like he can't do it. Like, and I put clips about that. But like honestly, even if they had whatever was optimal for the personnel that they had, Washington was gonna get yards. Like what I just wanted to like finish that up, about what Washington's offense was. It really, 90% of it is just Penix was back to full health. It's crazy that was the case. I mean, good, happy. Kid being healthy is happy, but like he's back to full health, and their offense is operating nominally. It does not have anything to do with suddenly their run game is fantastic. It doesn't have anything to do with suddenly Oregon can't stop the run in a way that they could earlier. It doesn't have anything to do with, their receivers are suddenly unstoppable. They do get some benefit from getting that, but it's the minor part of it. The major part of it is, and it doesn't have much to do with the Oregon pass coverage. Nobody can defend those guys. Like you could find the best pass defense in the league, they're going to have a hard time, defending, Penix, when he's at full strength. It's just the nature of that system. So what all of that means is, like, you just have to outscore them. It's the only way to do. I just went through all of that in order to get to that sentence, which is if Penix is at full health, sort of regardless of all those other things, the receivers, Oregon safeties, the run game, the offensive line, the defensive line, regardless of the status of all those other things, all of those things are minor. The major thing is, if Penix is back to full health, that means you are going to give up 30 points. Period. Absolutely. Full stop. And that means that your offense needs to score more than, you need to score 40 points.
And we nearly did, and we lost by that's 3 freaking points.
Man, I'm only like half done, man. Like that's where the problem is. That's people for all the Duck fans are sort of freaking out about all those other things that I just dismissed as minor. Like, they're minor. You can't control the fact that Penix got healthy, and once he's healthy, that means that you're going to give up 30 points. All the other stuff, again, the receivers, the run game, the offensive line, the defensive line, the safeties, all of it, it's minor. Like it's marginal, it's ephemeral. Like it's the difference between a field goal or a touchdown. It's the difference between 35 points and 32 points on one drive. Like you're gonna give up somewhere between 30 to 35 points. Like it's just gonna happen. Like that Penix being healthy means that's gonna happen to you. And where the game is won or lost once Penix is healthy is you need to score 40 points. And so that's where you're going to take brickbats to Oregon's coaching staff or Oregon's players is the offense. The offense underperformed. Where you need to say there's a problem here and something needs to get corrected and you need to take a look in the mirror is the offense. So what are the problems with the offense? Well, I identified 2 of them. The first is they never bothered to establish the run. I thought this was really stupid. I thought this was really, really stupid. And there's sort of like 2 subsets of this. The sort of point 1A is they were using the wrong running back. Like it was very clear that Bucky Irving was injured and they should have been relying on Jordan James. And point 1B is they weren't even really trying. Like their instantaneous pass rate until midway through the third quarter was in the high 70s. like 3 out of 4 plays were designed like pass plays. Their first three plays were passes. 5 of their first 6 plays were passes. Wow. I mean, it's just like nothing but passing to start the game. Like they didn't even bother to try establishing the run. And then when the game, they fall behind like 20-3. And so of course they're passing, it's like, dude, you need to establish the run, because like Washington is not a good efficiency rush defense. Like their rush defense numbers are like 35%. And it's like, you need to, you need to hammer the ball. You need to take Jordan James and you needed to like open up holes and you needed to run the ball and you need to establish that. You needed to get them to, get that. You need to bring their DBs down to open up the longer passing game. And that's the other, that was the other game plan number 2, flaw with them, is that, I mean, this is very clear when you study Washington's offense, is that it's kind of like Cal's offense, in that they like to keep the play in front of them, and kind of perversely they do better stopping shorter and more horizontally oriented passes than they do stopping vertical shots. And because the thing is, like, their athletes just aren't as good as yours are if you're throwing it deep. And it's why I put like an entire Twitter compilation. I literally 2 days before the game, I posted literally every play that Washington has given up, which is 17 of them, of 35 plus yard passes that they've given up over the course of the year, which was 118th in the nation, because their DBs just can't keep up. And it was like, you just need to hit bombs against them, which is something that I also did when Oregon played Cal. I was like, look, guys, and remember when we were after the Arizona State game, Aaron, I said that you said a really prescient line is, once you had all the pieces on the table, it's just about like manipulating, playing mind games. It's, that it's like, it's because Arizona State's defense is different. Arizona State's defense wanted to take away deep shots. And so you needed to like invite them down. You need to use horizontal stretch plays in order to set up your vertical stretch plays. And so that's why Oregon was setting up RPOs and setting up, swing passes and inviting their linebackers to get out of place, and then would hit their vertical stretch plays in order to manipulate Arizona State's defense. And, I love writing about that sort of stuff because I love writing about sequencing. Well, the thing is about Cal's defense and about Washington's defense is you don't need to do that stuff. You don't need to set up the horizontal stuff. They love it when you throw the horizontal stuff because they keep the play in front of you, in front of them. They'll just, they'll.
Yeah, we love those short way and that away passing. We do that all the time.
They'll just blanket that and tackle that stuff. Instead, what you're supposed to do against defenses like that is just run like 4 verts. It's just like send it all deep. And the way you set that up is you run the ball, right? Which sort of sounds like Big Ten offenses, right? Like run, play action, shot, right? Like that's sort of like, sort of maybe old school sound in football. Like that's the game plan to beat Washington. And Oregon didn't do that. And it was like, I was all over the film. It was all over my preview. It was all over both of the previews that I wrote. It was all over my preview of Washington I wrote last year. Is like, look, man, they're super vulnerable to efficiency running, and this is how you get the safeties down, and this is how you throw over them. And their DBs can't keep up because their DBs are not very good athletes. And this is why they commit pass interference so much, is because they fall behind and they have to mob you. And it's like, I was really frustrated watching Oregon's game plan because I was like, do I have to spell this out?
Here's a question.
And I really feel like Oregon screwed up the game plan offensively. And the reason why I talked all that about the defense is that you're going to give up somewhere between 32 and 35 points to this offense the instant that Penix is healthy. You have to outscore them. You're not going to get it done scoring 28 to 30 points. You need to score 40 plus points, which means your offensive game plan needs to be on point. You can't afford to screw around on offense. And Oregon screwed around on offense. And then what happened at the end of the second half? Do you remember? or was it too painful? Did you black it out?
What happened at the end of the second, the very end of the game?
What happened at the end of the first half? What happened at the end of the second half?
End of the first half. Well, we threw it to Terrence Ferguson near the end of the score. I remember that. And then end of the the bomb down the field to cut the lead was
35-yard pass. What did Oregon do at the end of the first half? They quit screwing around. They ran the ball to set it up. Right, that's when they started running the ball with Jordan James.
I think everyone
hit bombs.
Was looking at Jordan James.
That scoring drive.
Everyone was looking at Jordan James, being like, "This dude clearly has more tank than Bucky Irving right now."
Yeah, but I mean, look what I'm saying about manipulating Washington's defense. Look at the scoring drive that Oregon pulls off, the quick scoring drive that they pull off at the end of the first half, and then look at that scoring drive with Trayshawn Holden towards the end of the second half, in which they cut the lead down. It's exactly the game plan that I prescribed about how you use the run to set up the pass and then how you throw deep shots against Washington's defense. It's what they should have been doing from the get-go. Instead, they used the horizontal passing, the horizontal stretch and the RPO stuff with Washington. It's the only thing they can defend. And it was like, I was pulling my hair out because it was like, guys, did you not watch any tape on how Washington, defends? That was what was infuriating. It was like, this is exactly the wrong plan and I know you know how to score points against these guys because you did it.
Question.
Yeah.
Did we at least go into this game with a different game plan than the one a few weeks earlier when they beat us by 3 points? Did we try to play this? Do you know what I mean? Did we try to play the same game again, same ideas? Or did we we have pivoted because we now know from playing them, we can, you know what I mean? You'd think having played them, that's the perfect amount of research for this next game.
Oregon's offensive game plan in October, Oregon's offensive game plan in October was much more reliant on the run than its game plan in December. Weird. Oregon's offensive game plan in October, when they wanted to throw shots, I didn't love because they kept rolling Nix out in order to take those shots. I think because they didn't trust Oregon's offensive line to hold up the pocket against the pass rush, because they were still under the impression that Washington's pass rush was going to beat Oregon's relatively new offensive line. I thought the data was fairly clear at that point that was not necessary, that Oregon's offensive line would in fact hold up against Washington's defensive pass rush. And so that wasn't necessary, and cutting the field in half, was not necessary, and that they should have just been throwing deep balls from the pocket. And so what I was looking forward to in the conference championship game, with now 12 games worth of data on both teams, was like, oh, you don't need to do that now. Like, right. You can trust Nix with a full pocket, with a full field, to just, now we're going to see lots of downfield passing, and instead we saw the opposite of that. And I was just like, guys, this was the wrong game plan.
I will say, so a lot of annoying Twitter, definitely love, and a lot of people just looking to hate on Oregon for any reason. Really harped on they're so reliant on check down. They don't do any deep field stuff. Now that we're basically at the end of the season.
Oh, with 2020 hindsight.
Yeah. Do you think there is some validity to there should be maybe a few more deep shots in this?
I think the people who say stuff like that are, the reason that they say stuff like that is because rather than watching film to assess the capabilities of quarterbacks, because what they're doing is trying to assess quarterbacks, worthiness of postseason accolades.
Yeah.
they're trying to infer it from statistical production. And then they're trying to delve into statistical production to say, okay, well, passing yard, you have X number of passing yards. Well, quarterback A has X number of passing yards. Quarterback B has a similar number of passing yards, but quarterback B produced them by throwing them at this level of depth and then having the receiver going and getting more yards after catch, whereas quarterback A got them through the air. And so the quarterback A, earned them with his arm. And so he's more worthy. And I think all of that is very stupid. I think you should just watch film because, of course, I think that I watch film. And like, I think anybody who does anything, except for whose starting point is anything other than I will just watch film is a moron and lazy.
Right here.
So I am not willing to engage those people in those arguments because I do not make a habit of arguing with idiots.
But I mean, I agree with
the
you
question
there.
Of now, if you are playing, so as to the question of what is the correct strategy to win a game, the answer is the correct strategy to win a game is dependent on what the opponent is doing and how you want to manipulate them. If the opponent is a defense like, say, Arizona State's, which starts out trying to take away the deep ball and has some defensive backs who are capable of doing that, then manipulating them with, sequenced, horizontal stretch plays, as we discussed after that game, is a great way to do it. And if that means pulling your quarterback's, depth of throw numbers down, who gives a shit? Like,
all I'm saying is I've watched.
Now, on the other hand,
games where I'm like, throw the fucking ball down the field. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at.
If
Troy
you're
Franklin,
playing a different type of defense in which the throw is available, to throw downfield, and you're still not doing it, like now, then that's stupid. Now, if the quarterback is not capable of doing so, then that's a knock on that quarterback. Now, if anybody watched Bo Nix's film and believed he was not physically capable of doing that person is either blind or more likely is simply not watching film, or even more likely is
a Huskies fan.
Well, motivated reasoning. They're willfully blind. They're simply denying a reality because it's inconvenient to what they wish to believe. Which again, I'm not in the habit of arguing with idiots or people who are arguing in bad faith. You should do what is necessary to win, or what is best suits you to win the game. My criticism for Oregon's coaches against Washington was they picked the wrong game plan. They should have been throwing it deep. They had a quarterback who's capable of doing so. They demonstrated that when they threw the ball deep and scored touchdowns. Like,
it's just crazy that they chose wrong because I feel like the coaching staff has proven how intelligent they really are.
I know. So what's crazy is that I spent much of the
knock
year,
on the head one. Yeah,
I spent much of the year praising the staff or praising is actually the wrong word. Noting how much of the staff were counterpunchers, how much the film watchers that they were, in terms of like wanting to note what teams' tendencies were and manipulate them. And so this was a real shock.
Yeah,
that it was like, weird. Guys, how did you not notice that this was the 118th worst team in the nation at Vegas defending deep shots? And that the way that you set it up was the run game, because they were also, so terrible at defending, efficiency runs. Like, how did you not notice?
I'm now on Aaron's side. It's all stupid.
Vegas, baby.
We're just the
Vegas is in there running these goddamn numbers.
If we're the villains, it sucks because we're not even like the main villain. Because the main villain's got like 20 national championships under the belt. We're the henchmen.
No. It's just like
college football hates an upstart. They hate
it. It's just like it's not like we're a villain. It's that we're the bad guy. We're the one that has to be that role because it fits the narrative easier. We're still just and correct. It's just we're living in a toxic situation in which the actual villains are kind of running the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we're the bad guys, but we're actually the good guys because
we need to get you to talk to this team. It's
ESPN.
All very informative. Couldn't agree with you more, especially watching that game. Anything else you'd like to say before we maybe start very, very loosely talking about some bowl game picks here?
Ooh, bowl game picks. Man, I haven't even.
I know. We're all going.
No, I mean, it's
very quickly.
It was frustrating. Certainly it was frustrating. Like the outcome obviously is frustrating. I was frustrated because even with Penix back, it's a winnable game.
Oh yeah.
It's also frustrating because sort of the trajectory suddenly reverse, Washington spent the whole season, on a downslide. Oregon spent the whole season getting stronger, and then they suddenly flip. Oregon gets a bunch of injuries right before the game. Washington suddenly gets healthy right before the game, which again, I'm not trying to celebrate or, denounce, why didn't those kids get hurt? It's just like, so much of this game is just being healthy at the right time, so it's just like, man, it's unfortunate that we didn't get, two teams playing. I think it's unfortunate that we didn't get two teams playing at peak health with, peaks with both of them playing at optimal strategies,
But we did, and we lost that game back.
Well, not fully. Remember when both our cornerbacks got injured on the same play?
Well,
yeah, and Washington wasn't
going
at full
into
strength
that
game. They didn't have their receivers, and they were playing it in Alaska Airlines Field, which is like an ice rink, and like a third of their the plays in that game, many of which benefited Oregon. I'm not trying to say that was like all Washington, benefited. Like at least half of them benefited Oregon, where players were slipping on that stupid turf. Like seriously, something is wrong with that turf.
It's butter.
That was not J.K. Rowling. Continue, sorry.
Anyway, no, I didn't really think that was a great game. That wasn't like the game that we deserved to watch. For a variety. Just the full on. I still want to see the full on game. I want to see the game where it's like peak of their powers.
But going
game,
into
and I still haven't seen the 2022 game. Nix is hurt.
Yeah.
Right. The October game, a bunch of players is hurt and it's on that stupid turf. The 2023, the conference championship game, a bunch of Oregon players is hurt and it's this sudden and unexpected, game plan reversal. Just none of these things are sort of optimal conditions. And maybe, there's a foolish thing to wish for because it'll never happen. What game is ever played under optimal circumstances? But I feel like we've been denied it,
if I was a Big Ten fan and I watched these two Oregon Washington games, I would be like, those fantastic games, A+ 100%. If I, my heart wasn't into it anyways.
Final question.
Yep.
Let's keep. I want to keep this super brief because I know we are trying to create a nice tight package with this one. So we're getting close to that package's ceiling. But anywho, really quick, through this conversation, it has made me believe that maybe the situation lied within the choices made by the coaching staff. But while watching the game, it felt like the actual problem was that Bo was making wrong decisions, which is uncharacteristic of him. So am I now to believe Bo was maybe just doing his job and following the coaching staff orders? Because he is known to change plays on the field as well.
I do think that, when I charted the game, he made some mistakes, but he makes mistakes in every game because he's a human,
it felt more flawed than he actually really was. He wasn't actually fucking up that bad.
I wouldn't put the game at his feet. On the other hand, I guess I would say if that dude wanted to win the Heisman, my coaching staff is calling the wrong game plan, but I'm going to put the team on my back and do like some amazing stuff. Like for example, the 44-yard scramble, more of that, like do some amazing stuff. Like there wasn't quite enough amazing stuff out of Bo Nix to like win the game despite his coaching staff choosing the wrong game plan. I
think it's also just part luck where you're like, well, our game plan makes it so we're not turning over the ball. We got one of the best, I'm not quite sure, but one of the best turnover margins, period. He's only thrown 2 picks. We're playing that style. And then he throws like somewhat an unlucky pick. And it's it's kind of like counteracting the benefit of us playing this style. And that was
right when we needed
momentum shift. Oh yeah. Yep, that's let us never talk about this game again. It was a solid game though.
Well, I feel better now knowing that it's a coaching It was the flubbery of the powers that control.
In my opinion, it's always a coaching problem. Even if one player
I love our coaches too much to ever think ill of them. I don't know why, but I like their mentality. I very much like our head coach, and I would marry him if he would allow me.
Well, if in 5 years we haven't beat Washington under Lanning, I'm going to be calling for his head. But yeah, sure. No, he's great. Yeah, we lost twice this season to a playoff team. So that's pretty good.
Dan Lanning is my Jimmy Johnson.
Jenny Johnson?
The Dallas Cowboys coach from the 90s whenever they were fucking ruling it. Now he's a talking head.
Okay. Oh, brother. There you go.
Greatest coach to ever play the game.
There you go. To play the game, not coach the game.
However you want to look at it.
All right.
I think coaching is playing. You're the one moving the chess pieces.
Well, I think
you're playing the game.
I think umping is playing. I saw that in this last game. Let us get into this. Now, we're going to pick some bowl games. This is truly, who gives a shit? I guess we're keeping tally. This is slate is clean. Who can get the most here? This is
I'm going to rule.
And we're picking them all right now. I have somewhat watched
for this. Okay.
I know. You're more prepared than Aaron and I. But I like the idea of just off the top for doing that.
I have the tingles of a electrified universe running through my fingers, Adam. Aaron, I am ready to go.
I've said this before. You need to look into that. That is a real medical thing.
It might be a stroke. Yeah, it might be a stroke.
Honestly. Let's get into it. By the way, that is so many oranges you're eating. This is the biggest bowl of oranges I've ever seen.
It's just 2 oranges.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is it so much?
Because it's a pretty bowl.
Wow.
Pretty bowl.
We're not talking about the orange bowl. Surprisingly, but I'm looking at an orange bowl right now. Anyways, here we go. The picks.
Right.
The picks. Feel like my orange bowl joke should have gotten a bigger reaction. But anyways, so here we go. The Great Bowl Bonanza. I forget who won this last year, but we all know Hyth won the in-season Pick'em Challenge. Aaron, however, won the preseason Pick'em Challenge when he got all 12 over-unders for the regular season.
I'm not joking. I've thought about that a few times, kind of being like, I really wish I would have put money down. I think that would have been the smartest.
If you would put $1 down, dude, you'd be doing pretty well right now.
I'm not joking about this. After we finished recording and Aaron, you broke that news, I went and poured myself a double of bourbon and just drank it. Like, I'm completely shattered by that. Like,
oh man,
I cannot believe that.
I'm just glad it's on tape. That's all that really matters, is that I have proof I did a weird thing once.
I love that so much. Okay.
It's not once, Aaron. You do that all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, Adam keeps telling me it's a stroke and making me not believe in my tingly universe.
Stroke of genius. You don't let me finish. Okay.
All right, here we go.
Okay,
Bowl Bonanza.
We're going to, and Aaron, I assume you want to go with your style of complete blind. You're picking first.
Yes.
Tell you that's what happened with the over-under. So I assume we should follow that.
All right. Shouldn't it be called the Bonanza? Anyway.
Oh, shit.
All right.
Well, okay. We got the LA Bowl, UCLA, Boise State.
Oh, Boise State.
I honestly don't even think UCLA deserves to be in the LA Bowl, but whatever. Aaron, Saturday.
I like Boise State. Boy, that horse is calling my name. That is one mad-looking horse. I'm ready for it.
I get you.
Give me Boise State.
This is that kind of thing when you fire a coach, in this case, Andy Avalos, and then you just get better immediately. It's not necessarily like that could just be happenstance. You could have won those games even if Avalos was there. But they do kind of have that momentum. And I do, did they win the Mountain West? They did, right?
They did.
Yeah, pretty kind of ugly, but
it's the first time that's ever happened. A fired coach team has won a conference championship.
Yeah,
and like the Mountain West is crazy because they had 3 teams finish with the same conference record, and they had to go to like their tiebreaker procedure went down to like their 5th tiebreaker, which required computers breaking it on like the Massey and the Coley index, which those nuts. And so like Boise State totally snuck in and then still won. Like what Boise had to do to win this championship is completely crazy. Yeah.
Maybe being a Boise State fan is actually like the epitome, like where you should be for a college football. Because you're like, we're winning on our level. Even when we're shitty, we still win in our conference. Like, we're almost like a big boy, but we still, like, get to pretend like, you know, everyone's against us. Maybe that's where it really is. Or maybe I should just be like, yo, no, I'm a Crimson Tide fan. Roll Tide. Like, maybe I should just choose whatever. This is me talking to myself. UCLA, Boise State. Man, I'm just against Chip. I think he fucking sucks.
Yeah. Dude, potato chip. They're bad for you.
Aaron, this would be great. This would be a chip being wonderful for us. I don't think this is gonna happen.
You're talking about an air fried potato chip?
Well, okay, so Ty Thompson, he's in the transfer portal. Power to him. I hope he goes to like ASU and just tears it up or something like that. I definitely want him to get a starting position and just kick the crap out of whoever he plays. But so I say that because now we got like, okay, so who we got for the future QB here? We got some QBs on the roster, and obviously Dylan Gabriel is going to be a Duck officially. That's like the highest QB in the transfer portal supposedly right now. So that's awesome. But there's even some rumors because Dante Moore, the talented freshman from UCLA, he's in the transfer portal. He's like, fuck this shit. I'm getting off this ship. There's even he's coming to visit at Oregon. Dylan Gabriel's already committed. The dream scenario, you get Dylan Gabriel come in for 1 year, and then you get Dante Moore, like a very talented person who probably can go start somewhere even if he's not ready. Like if he wants to, at a power program, probably. If he could come in, just compete or sit on the bench for a season, that is fucking ideal, my man. So UCLA's implosion could be a good thing here. They got, I don't even think they're playing for anything, man. Like they stink. Their DC is now at USC.
You know what I fear?
What's that?
These kids are going to be damaged goods that you're spending more time getting bad ideas out of their head so you can put in the good ideas.
That is the thing, dude. Like, that freshman year for a QB is important, but I would still love to have.
Don't plant the seeds of a bad apple. Come on now.
Oh man, these adages you're throwing out. So I'm going with Boise State too because this is
nice. Big
for them, and I believe their interim head coach is now going to be their head coach for this game, fully. So that's cool.
Pay raise.
Yeah, oh yeah, baby. Hyth today. Who do you got in this one? I bet I know who. Yeah,
Boise all the way.
Absolutely.
Boise.
And the fact that this is in LA almost makes it more like. And this is hosted by Rob Gronkowski for some reason.
Wow. Boise wants to win this bowl game, whereas Chip Kelly never wants to win a game.
Chip Kelly doesn't want to be at this game.
No, he wants to be at home,
and it's like in his backyard, and he still doesn't.
He's got to deal with traffic.
He doesn't have a defensive coordinator, which is the only good part of his team. He doesn't nothing more is gone.
He wishes that he could do what he did in the last bowl game and just at the last minute be like, no, we're good, man.
Yeah, never bet. These like Mountain West champion versus Pac-12 team that had a bad season and barely eked into a bowl game. Like always bet on the Mountain West champion. Like yeah.
This is gonna be huge for Boise State, and I'm rooting for him. Honestly, fuck UCLA. Yeah, I said it. I'm edgy. Okay. Independence.
I was saying it all last year, and you were calling me a dumbass.
Yeah, I was probably calling you a dumbass.
That's just how in the future I live. Oh shit!
Independence Bowl. 2 teams we have played this season. Texas Tech, which almost goddamn beat us. Tyler Shuck in the transfer portal. Power to him after being injured at some point in this season, and then Cal.
Dang.
I mean, Cal made a bowl game, and honestly, they were pretty fun doing it. They should have beaten Auburn. I wish they would have. So we could be like a team that almost beat Bama Cal beat. I don't know. That'd be fun. This is tough. This is
easy.
Is it easy for you?
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
I shouldn't have even said that. What do you got?
Yeah. No, it's Texas Tech all day. Got to keep it in the family.
Yeah, you love your Tech. In this case, I will go with Cal because I like their QB, who I assume is still on the team playing.
Wrong.
Jaden Ott. I don't know anything about if he. I mean, a lot of this is going to be like, I don't know if the best players are actually playing in these games or if they're on this team. I imagine Jaden Ott is playing in good to go. So that makes me happy. I'm going with Cal because I think they're more of a complete team, even though I still don't.
How interesting of a take.
Yeah, who knows? And I like Cal. What about you, Hyth? You've seen both these teams. That's pretty cool. You've done film study on both these teams.
Yeah. Give me Texas Tech.
Red Raiders.
Yep.
Yeah. I just I don't know. Largely because I just think that I like Baron Morton better, like their quarterback. Yeah. Like
we're talking about that.
He's really got an NFL arm. Like just watching his, like I know he's young, but I think he spent like whenever I watched his film you're just not. I didn't really watch his film, and it's sort of looking like Oregon's not going to play. I was gathering up all of Texas Tech's film this year because it was scheduled to be a home and home, although it's looking like they're gonna trade that off to play Oregon State again this year.
But
I had to piece together, that film, so I'd be watching it and like, boy, that the ball really like zips coming out of his hand. And like, I like Mendoza, Cal's quarterback, but he's really he's got one throw in his inventory and Morton's got the entire thing. I don't know I don't know. I actually think this is going to be like a pretty well-matched game. As far as I can tell, like they're not getting like Brooks is going to play in this game. Ott is going to play in this game. Like they should have like all of their, their key players as far as I'm aware. I don't know. I haven't really, dove into this.
It could all change at any moment. Yeah.
Just like ultimately, I just think that like Texas Tech is like a better coached team than Cal. Like I just really don't believe in Justin Wilcox is sort of what it comes down to. Like, I think that Texas Tech just kind of wants this more. Like,
Can you imagine? We don't really got to actually dive into this, but it truly is. Can you imagine the universe where we hire Justin Wilcox instead of Dan Lanning?
I just don't think that's a real universe.
I don't think so either, but there are articles written by supposedly very smart people that suggest that almost happened or was a possibility. And I just can't imagine what our fucking roster would look like. It's just like, I don't know. God damn. I think the people transferring out right now because they didn't get receiving time would have been like our key players that were relying on everything. Anyways, Las Vegas Bowl, a hideous Northwestern logo, truly.
That shit sucks.
Honestly, I think that's what I'm going to be saying after this game is over. I think Utah's had, credit to Utah for getting what they got out of this season, for having some like, hey, way to go. But they've played some hard to watch football. Northwestern, I'm not actually that familiar with them. I know they had pretty bad seasons, in their recent history. It's cool they got to a bowl game. I thought Vegas Bowl was between only Mountain West and Pac-12. I guess I was wrong. It's cool. It's in Vegas. Utah people usually don't do very well in Vegas. What do you think, Aaron? Who do you got here?
Well, you've clouded me with all of this information. Luckily, though, as soon as it popped up and I saw just how horrendous that logo is,
it's funny.
Like somebody took a Z, turned it sideways to make an N, and then put a cat on top of it to hide the fact that that's how lazy they are.
A clip art cat.
Or it's a number 2, maybe even. This is Utes.
Going with the Utes?
I am.
Their situation is pretty weird. Bryson Barnes is in the portal, I believe. Am I crazy on that one? Their whole it was Nate. It was Nate Johnson's in the portal, I believe. Who knows?
They both are, but Barnes has said he's going to play in the bowl game.
That's nice. Oh. Yeah, they would be in a rough situation if both of them weren't playing in this. I truly don't know. And I know there's some NFL like people leaving in an injury all year has been weird. Who knows? I'm actually gonna go. I'm just betting against Utah. I'm going with Northwestern.
Sure.
I'm kind of going against Utah.
That's bad. I mean, it's December 23rd at 4:30 on ABC. That's obviously that all lines up. It's the Utes.
Okay.
Know your timelines, Adam.
I won't ask you why, but okay. Holiday Bowl. Happy holidays.
Do you want my pick?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, rude.
I know.
I'm going with Utah. Like I think their late season slide has to do with their defensive injuries, but I think actually what Aaron said is relevant that they're playing 2 days before Christmas, because I think with that much time, they're probably going to get some of those defensive players back, and that's pretty relevant. So I think they'll be able to rely on their defense and get the win.
Fair enough. Do you know anything about Northwestern? Because I don't think I've seen a second of a Northwestern. Wait, they had a good game against, was it Oklahoma or Texas? I forget. But like good as in Big 12 good, like there's a lot of points scored, but you were still looking at both teams being like, I don't know about you two.
Maybe I'm wrong. They didn't play anybody in the Big 12.
Oh yeah, because they're Big 10.
They played.
I think I could play them with
team
TCU,
in Texas.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I clearly know nothing about North.
Oh, UTEP. That's where my sister went. Sure, I'm sure I'm sure Nebraska beat them.
I know Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I think she went to this school.
Nebraska did in fact defeat Northwestern.
Oh, that should be enough for me, honestly.
They lost to Iowa 10-7, which was like perhaps the worst game played.
Yeah, I think I heard it was like one of the lower over-unders in like history.
Wow.
That's amazing. Iowa do that to you. I can't wait to beat Iowa.
Yeah, no, I mean, like Northwestern went 7-5 and qualified for a bowl, on the back of just like how horrendous the Big Ten West is. Like their wins are over UTEP, Minnesota, Howard, Maryland, Wisconsin, Purdue, Illinois, and like the best. Row. Yeah, exactly. Like the best of those teams is Purdue, maybe. Like it's just like, like, oh my God. Like I really just think that's just straight up a bad team that like if they played in literally any other division of college football, like would be maybe a 3-win team.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Holiday Bowl, USC versus Lawville. Sorry.
Lawville
had a pretty dang good season. Came down a really good game that I guess mattered not whatsoever in the championship game. Lawville versus Florida State in the ACC championship game. Florida State won that game and then was denied entry into the playoffs. Don't really got to talk about that, but it is a little bit of bullshit, even though Florida State looks a little vulnerable. But Louisville's a good team. Lawville. USC, we all know what the fuck USC is, man. I mean, Caleb Williams isn't playing in this, is he? He's not a moron, is he?
I don't think he's actually made a formal declaration, but like I would
hope
be
he does.
extremely surprised if he played.
Dude, please don't, man. Like, you were already in that commercial, like daring the gods to curse you. Don't play in the holiday.
Oh no, he did. He has said he's opting out.
Good. Okay, good. Oh, that's right. Is it Miller Moss? Is that their other guy?
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they have a guy that they have a freshman that they're really excited about, but I think that it's probably going to be Miller Moss. Because don't throw him in early in a bowl game again. Because Louisville's got a really good defense, and USC's offensive line is really terrible, and they probably don't want to have their actual future dude get sacked to hell.
Yeah. Sorry, Aaron. We spoiler. Don't listen to any of that. Who do you got here?
Y'all are making it sound like USC is going to lose this game.
Well, they got talent. I mean,
well, we're giving you information. You want to have no information, so we should be
sorry about that. Sorry about that.
But when I saw this, and I played the game at least 6 times in my mind, I ran the timelines. The universe has spoken, and I actually think USC is going to win this game.
All right. I don't hear that. I'm going with Law Will.
I just don't see them happening. I don't see it happening.
I mean, USC's, I mean, hey, it could happen. Who knows? That's all I gotta say.
I feel so confident about this one.
Really?
I can't wait for it to explode in my face after the new year.
This would be I would be pretty surprised. I'd be very impressed.
I think USC is going to win it. I just feel it.
Okay. A part of me almost wanted Dylan Gabriel. I'm glad he's a Duck, but I almost wanted him, former Oklahoma QB, to go to USC just so Alicia De Otola had to deal with another year of Oklahoma fans. Would be such a funny,
so torture. Mean.
It is mean, but it would have been funny because, oh man, they sound terrible. Hyth today, who do you got in this one?
I have Louisville for the. For basically the obvious reasons, the advanced stats in Vegas, and Louisville's a good team. USC's a sneaky bad team. And they're sneaky bad because they were, well, for all the reasons that any longtime listener of this podcast has heard me talking about, and you talking about, and Alicia talking about for 2 years, that it's very incomplete, and Lincoln Riley makes mistakes and doesn't rely on the stuff that he's good at, and does rely on Caleb Williams making stuff up, and he's not going to have Caleb Williams. So on paper, it
sounds good.
Very clear that Louisville's going to, win. That said,
maybe
I actually think, and so, lock me in for Louisville. I am now just going to talk a little bit. I actually wouldn't really be surprised if Aaron was right and USC.
Look, you just said that the thing that the coach hates the most is gone.
So he doesn't hate
cool. Well, he's not using it or whatever.
I kind of have this little tickle. I kind of had this.
You should get that checked out too.
I sometimes my gut just talks to me, and what my gut is sort of telling me is that I kind of think Louisville might just suck.
Yeah,
and really that the winning ACC really just sucks because and the reason is I watched them play Kentucky, and I don't really, and I watched Kentucky play in an actually competitive league, and Kentucky didn't really struggle with. I mean, Kentucky beat them, and B, it's not like Kentucky lucked into the win. They played it's not like they were behind, but then they had a couple, some special team snafus or whatever. They were pretty comfortably the equal to better team against Louisville. And I kind of just think the entire ACC is just terrible.
Yeah.
And that Florida State and Louisville are both just kind of bad teams that just play in a really bad conference. And that USC, even with all the flaws that USC has, and might just run them out of the building because they are just the Louisville's kind of like a joke team or like a G5 team. It's like the best of a G5 conference.
ACC's been pretty freaking bad, and like if you're not just looking at the 13-0 like record for Florida State, if you were watching like that Boston College game and shit, like I can buy your theory.
Well, it's like, okay, you know who their quarterback is?
For Louisville?
Yeah.
Is he a Pac-12 transfer? I know.
Yeah, he is.
I can't remember. It isn't JT Daniels, no.
No, it's Jack Plummer, who was Cal's quarterback last year.
That's it.
Funny.
Yeah. Playing in the ACC made Jack Plummer, look like a great quarterback.
Ty Thompson's got to go over there, just run shit.
Yeah, I guess.
Go to Florida State.
I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen. I mean, I go by the numbers, and advanced stats are opponent adjusted, and Vegas thinks this is going to happen too. And
USC look like they quit.
Yeah, and there's definitely that factor. Like, I really don't know how much USC wants to be here, or Lincoln Riley does, and there's all sorts of stuff. Whereas Louisville. Yeah, Louisville wants to be there. All of these factors. Yeah, but put me down for Louisville. I'm just saying, if I turn on this game and I see USC just casually throwing 80-yard touchdowns, and Louisville, looking around being like, I don't understand. They don't do this in the ACC. And the USC players just sort of jumping around and grinning boy, this is a hell of a lot easier than playing Pac-12 teams.
Yeah.
I will.
Also, Miller Moss has been there. He knows the system.
I will not be shocked. I will be I can see that.
When you were talking about Kentucky beating the Louisville Cardinals, I was like, oh, I wonder if someone wrote Kentucky Fried Cardinal when they beat them. And I looked it up online, and 3,000 people wrote that.
Well, they play every year.
It's bound to happen. It's too good not to. All right. Up next.
I like Popeyes. Also, really quick,
is the shit. What?
You know what I did think? This is so way off, but y'all have both talked about him. I feel like it might be because of alliteration, but I think that Ty Thompson would be great at Texas. I think he
at Texas Tech. Ty Thompson, Texas Tech.
That's more, but no, I think he could. He has
another Oregon transfer. To Texas.
He has a Longhorn feel to him. To me,
I don't know.
I mean, he's originally from Arizona. That's his hometown is in Arizona.
Oh, well, do something like that.
Anyway,
Aaron.
Oh shit!
Alamo
the
Bowl.
Sooners. You
were practically born in the Alamo. I imagine. Every Texan is basically born in the Alamo. That is a wonderful,
born of the Alamo.
In my history, I definitely take this as a big W whenever I see the Alamo as a Mexican man. What do you think this is gonna result in?
Well, I can't rightly go with the Sooners because I just talked about the Longhorns, and the Sooners can go eat a pile of dirt as far as I'm concerned when I think about my boys, the Longhorns. And I don't particularly like Arizona for any real reason. I'm shocked that either of these teams have made it to a bowl. They're both pieces of shit to my. I hate them.
Drawn, okay.
Sorry, just kidding. I do think the Sooners are going to win.
Okay.
Right?
Like Gabriel less Oklahoma Sooners, huh? I'm not saying
I don't know. That's what makes sense to me.
You're going with the Sooners. I think this game's going to be kind of awesome, actually. I'm really hoping for Arizona. They are ready. They're like, we could have almost made the Pac-12 Championship game if one or two things had gone our way.
Yeah, could they have though? Really? I mean, really? Could they have?
They could have. If Oregon, well, it would take
You sure about that? You sure about that?
It could happen. It could happen. You sure about that? But Noah Fafita can be ready to play. I'm very excited about this Arizona team, especially in this moment. Oklahoma, they played down to some people. Their big moment was beating Texas. They don't got Dylan Gabriel. I know they're very, very, very hyped on their other QB. I'll go with Arizona. What's that?
His name is Jackson Arnold.
Jackson Arnold. What a wonderful name. I'm absolutely going with Arizona because they seem to be bringing a lot to this table, like a full team. I don't know. I'm sure there's opt-outs. I'm sure there's transfer portal shit, but like they seem ready to play this. And and it's not too far away. I bet even some Wildcat fans will be in attendance. So I'll go with Arizona.
I'm going to go with Oklahoma.
Yes.
I guess I just never really bought Arizona.
Yeah,
this year.
There's nothing to buy. It's a Twinkie. What are you actually getting?
I think that Oklahoma's. I guess I'll put it this way. I think that Oklahoma's defense is better than Arizona's. I think that. I think that Oklahoma's. Let me put it this way. If Oklahoma had Dylan Gabriel, wouldn't you have taken Oklahoma over Arizona?
Yes.
Okay. So it's really just you think that Jackson Arnold is such a step down from Dylan Gabriel that it's worth flipping over, right?
Yes.
Okay.
See, that's just the deep quarterback shit we got to break.
I don't think that he is. I think that Jackson Arnold is actually a pretty damn good quarterback, and I watched enough of him play this year that I think he'll be ready to go.
Oklahoma fans are like definitely ready for that. You're getting the comments that you want when you get a transfer quarterback. Like, you got a good one. He's, he'll do great, but you're also seeing them being like, and they're still very confident in their guy. So that's good at least,
But and it's like assuming if he's like 80% of what they got out of Dylan Gabriel, that's still a better offense than Arizona with Noah Fifita. Sorry, Arizona fans. I know you think you've got, a fantastic offense with Fifita. Like, I don't think it is. Like, Oklahoma with Gabriel was like the 7th ranked offense. Like, it was really good. And their defense this year really shaped up to be like the 24th ranked defense. And like, as far as I'm aware, Oklahoma's defense isn't going anywhere. And Arizona's defense, while it did some nice things by being willing to play a 7 DB defense against a really pass heavy, passing league that sort of surprised a lot of teams. They did that against Washington, USC, and a couple other teams. Like, it just meant sort of like it gummed up the works. Like, it's not actually a great defense to sort of shut teams down. Whereas like Oklahoma would actually sort of do that. Like, I know
Arizona's been shut down a bowl. I mean, like looking at like the Colorado game and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you want to make the argument that like Oklahoma played with their food in a bunch of games, it's like that's true, but like Arizona was in a bunch of games too where like they weren't choosing to, like that wasn't playing with their food. Like they just straight up lost, or played like close games because they were in struggles with teams that aren't good, like it was like a 1-point win over Stanford, like I'm sorry, like Oklahoma's just a better team across the board. And the only reason, like I said, the only reason you wouldn't pick them is that you think that Oklahoma is not going to be able to, handle the loss of Dylan Gabriel. But so I guess I'm just expressing, confidence that Jackson Arnold will get him this win. So that's the nature of my bet. Jackson Arnold will be good enough to get him this win.
Sound logic. And up next, the Sun Bowl.
Oh God!
Oregon State versus the Fighting Irish, December 29th, CBS, 11 a.m. Aaron, who?
Oh, Notre Dame, for sure.
Seconded, Notre Dame. DJU, no longer on the Beavs. He's in the transfer portal. Don't blame him. Jonathan Smith, obviously, in Michigan. There's some funny posts where at the local Goodwill in Corvallis, someone's like, pretty sure I just found a bunch of Jonathan Smith's shit. Like, he just dropped all his Beaver gear in a big box and just bailed. And it's like,
it
made me laugh.
I played a show once on the campus for the radio station there, and then we ended up yeah.
Oh.
And then we ended up kind of like crashing and partying at this one, like not frat house per se, but like close to campus where all the party animals, rock and rollers hang out.
Yeah.
And they felt like that type of person. I was like, y'all just kind of don't give a shit. You'll just bail.
Corvallis people will just bail.
Corvallis has got a vibe. Corvallis is weird.
It is true. Keep Corvallis weird. Keep Corvallis crazy.
But the college radio station, keep it funded.
Eugene's better, but okay.
Well, sure. All college radio stations should
awards for our college
funding.
station, but I'm sure they got some good podunk thing over there. I'm also Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I just better team, and I think like what Hyth's been saying a lot, where it's like Oregon State's gotten like a bit more credit than they maybe deserve. Trent Bray, now their head coach, actually did some good stuff covering up some key injuries in defense and keeping the whole thing going together. But between the opt-outs and like the gut punch that they've had, I don't think they're going to rally enough to beat this Notre Dame team. Hit the day. You got the Beavs?
No, I got Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam Hartman is also sitting out this bowl. So, like, I mean, this is going to be, well,
we should say the giant killers. I mean, it was Oregon State versus Notre Dame was
true.
A huge upset,
you're
right?
Correct about this.
Yeah.
And this is I'm basically Terry Baker got his Heisman on the back. Anyway, I mean, as you say, just Notre Dame's a better team, and in a game that's going to be over in 10 minutes, like it's going to be, Austin Estime, getting the ball a million times, and Damian Martinez getting the ball a million times, and like they're just going to run the ball at each other, and it's just going to come down to like who's going to get more defensive. Because like I have no idea, because like both Aiden Childs and DJ Uyunglele have transferred out, so like I don't even know who's taking snaps. Like Oregon State might just wildcat it every snap. Like I don't even know
still on the team, right?
I don't know. It might. You're right. It might be Eagle Branson. And like Notre Dame, I think it's going to be like a 3-star named Angeli. Like I don't know, man. Like there might be no passing in this game. And it's just going to come down to like a defense against the run. I really feel, and like that was the thing about like diving that. Well, first of all, Notre Dame has the 11th ranked defense in F+, and Oregon State's only 36. And second of all, I can tell you from having charted, Oregon State is that their defense against efficiency running is actually pretty. Like they're underwater in terms of defensive efficiency, stopping the run. Like this type of game, which is about trying to stop 5-yard runs, like they're not good at it. So yeah, I really think that Notre Dame's probably just going to try to run all over them, and they'll be successful.
Yeah, this could be rough.
Yay!
Rough. This seems to be the one we're all most confident on. So,
and I didn't know jack shit. I just picked Oh boy,
here we go.
Oh boy,
who you got? The Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, Ducks all day.
Going with the Ducks. That's good. I'm also let's think about
the now probably ranked 16 Oregon Ducks, because this whole thing is a fallacy.
Well, Ducks have been really good this year. Bonix is playing, but if I'm thinking about the moral high ground, I may go. I'm going the Oregon Ducks now. Oregon Ducks. They better blow them out, because I'm talking so much shit. Hythloday, do you think Liberty has it in them?
I mean, if Oregon doesn't show up, yes, Liberty has it in them. They have the 5th ranked offense in F+. That's largely because they run a triple option offense that horrible. I mean, just absolutely horrible. Conference USA. Like Liberty played perhaps the weakest schedule I have ever seen. Like this film is almost unwatchable. It's like the teams that they played are so bad.
People are saying like truly one of the worst schedules of the year, right? And
like I mean, I'll put the numbers in my article when I write it up, but it's like Adam, there are a lot of reasons why this, this project isn't a lot of fun. I mean, it's my responsibility. I do it regardless, but like
great power.
One of them is that just like this is not even though Liberty, regardless of how you feel about the university, their offense, the triple option offense that Jamie Chadwell, who came over from Coastal Carolina, runs, is actually pretty schematically interesting. And in that sense is something of a treat to watch. The thing is, I'm not going to really have a ton of really great film to show people about it in terms of defending it, because the defenses that they played are just horrendous and they have no idea what they're seeing. They don't know how to defend it. And so the same thing, if Oregon just takes the month for vacation time and are just like, oh, we'll roll over these guys, we don't need to watch any film. If you're not paying attention to an option team, they can beat you. Yeah,
absolutely. If Bo Nix was not playing in this game, I would feel a lot more like, oh, okay, let's see what we got. I'd be more excited for it because we'd be probably seeing Ty Thompson, but because I don't think he would transfer. Maybe, I don't know. Writing was probably on the wall. Now Dylan Gabriel's coming, but
there's probably, I mean, I can't think of a bowl game in which there's been a bigger talent disparity.
Yeah. It is a little strange, isn't it? The way
Oregon's probably, one of the top 5 teams in terms of roster talent that's going to show up in this bowl, and Liberty is, Liberty is not the least talented team to ever play a bowl game or to play a bowl in this season, but there's a lot of guys, I'll put it this way. They only have 31 dudes on their roster who have a rating on the 247 network.
Wow.
They had 37 of them, but 6 left after the conference championship game.
Yeah. Ducks by a million.
Yeah. Assuming that they do, work for, which I don't know, I can't predict what their level of preparation is. I can't predict, how up they're going to be for this game. There is a universe in which they sleepwalk through it because they feel insulted by it or disappointed or what. I don't know. I don't really think that's this team, but I want to tell people it's an option offense. If you don't know what you're doing, they can run through you.
Yeah. Put up a 10-minute drive, and then all of a sudden you're like, shit, we're down 10-0. Yeah.
They're not that type of okay. It's not like that. It's not like
still explosive
academy. It's very explosive. Yeah. It's more like they'll get you out of position with eye candy, and all of a sudden you've given up a 40-yard run. It's like, whoa, how did that happen?
That is fun. I kind of wish there would be some big programs that would take a little bit it's risk in the hire, but it seems like a pretty cool.
I definitely think somebody should hire Chadwell away. I think it was very strange that no program bigger than Liberty went.
What would you think about Chip Kelly gets fired? They hire him
for UCLA.
Yeah,
that'd be very interesting,
right? With that talent, you go into the Big Ten. Seems like something that could work out. Yeah. Ducks by a million, we better win.
But Ducks by a million.
Wait,
can I just point out something is up with the NCAA and us? They like to shame us, it seems like, because we're in the Fiesta Bowl against this team, but then January 1st at 10 a.m. What? They're trying to make it to where we have the least odds, because who's going to go to bed at a respectable hour but a good Christian who doesn't drink or
you don't want to be in Glendale, Arizona in the afternoon.
Yeah. It's technically an honor to get the January 1st game, but I get what you mean.
I don't think it is at all. I think they shoved us at 10 a.m. when the least viewership is going to be rocking and rolling as well, because everybody's in recoup mode.
Yeah.
No. I am unhappy about this decision on a business sense. Yeah. I'm taking on the NCAA.
I want to win. I want to get to 11 wins, get a bowl win. That sounds good to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man. Plus, it's like, this game's on January 1st, but a lot of like Liberty alum, they'll be preparing for January 6th. So that may be on their minds. Maybe they'll. Anyway.
No, that's what. Yeah, January 1st, they'll all be together where they can like plan.
They're playing it at that time. That's when the real game planning starts for 5 days
at
later.
the game over beers.
Oh God, secret beers. All right.
Ooh, Sugar Bowl. Now I like to look at this.
This is the Sugar Bowl, baby. This is
my
the
old home
Sarkeesian
versus
Sugar
my new
Bowl.
home.
Aaron, Steve Sarkeesian was Washington's head coach. 7-win Sarkeesian was his name. He would get him to 7 wins, no more, no less. Then he went over to USC. He didn't do great there, got fired because of an alcohol problem. But then actually, pretty uplifting story, has been doing a lot better, seemingly. Went to the rehab. Oh, I'm telling you all this information. What the fuck am I doing? Aaron, Sugar Bowl. Who's winning?
Well, this is a great one because, as everyone knows, I live in Seattle, and maybe everyone knows I am from Austin. So this is a very exciting game for me to get to watch.
Mm.
I think I just can't imagine Washington is able to flip the win coin correctly every single time. I think the Longhorns are gonna win this. Even though Hyth hates that logic, I think the Longhorns are going to win this because you can't just win every time.
Your philosophy is they can't keep getting away with this.
Right. And are they playing this bowl game and also going to the playoffs?
This is the playoffs.
Oh, this is the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Bravo, Longhorns. You made it to the playoffs. I'm going with Longhorns for sure. I want them to keep going.
I hate you, Aaron. This is a tough one. The Sarkeesian
You want the Huskies
Bowl.
to win this?
That's the question, man. Like, am I rooting for the Huskies? No. Let's say the Huskies won a national championship. That fucking blow that they've won another one while we're in this, the highest stage in our run as a program, and we're still not able to win it, and they sneak one in. That would stink. But
how many teams
to say that we lost to our 2 losses or to the national championship, and both those losses were by 3 points to the national champion, and both of them by 3 points. That's good, but
if it makes you feel better,
I know when I'm talking shit online and I'm like, oh, this is a good thing. Husky fans are rightfully so going to body me because they're like, I'm glad that this is such a high achievement for your program losing to us. So that stinks. That being said, I like Michael Penix. I like the whole Washington roster, honestly. I don't think they're that bad. They've been a fun team to watch. It's been kind of fun that some of these games are close. If they're going to win this game, it's because they're fully healthy and they win it by just chucking the ball around. Texas actually has a pretty mean pass rush. That may affect things. I think Texas is going to win this one. I don't know. I kind of don't want to watch the game because, like, if Washington loses, I'll be like kind of happy because they lost, kind of sad because I'm like, well, that's Pac-12 didn't go far. It'd be funny because that means Washington's never won a playoff game. They've been there twice, but they never won one. That's fun to say. I'm not rooting for Texas because I'm never rooting for Texas. It'll be fun to hear Matthew McConaughey's halftime speech.
Oh, no, it won't. That's so boring. God, that dude. Stick to Lincoln ads, bro.
So I guess I'm going with oh shit, man. This is actually pretty tough. I'm going with Texas.
Nice.
I think it'll be close though. Hyth Day. This is a tough one. What do you think?
I've got Texas.
Yeah.
I actually think the key to the game is Pete Witkowski.
Hey, there we go. I didn't even think about that.
I actually think Kwiatkowski's defense matches up for this offense pretty well.
No, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, that's very interesting. Are you rooting interest as a fan? Are you I mean, most of us absolutely never Washington. Do you want Texas to win? Do you want Washington to win? Do you just want a good game? or are you just like, yep, these are two teams?
Are you asking how
you
I'm
personally
picking, or what I like? What my
not who
heart
you're
wants?
picking? Who do you like? Is there a team you want to win in this?
I never want Washington to ever win a game.
Fair enough. Fair enough. There's a lot of like.
I mean, like it's weird when I'm watching them play. Like I can like my brain will be like I can watch them play like a high stakes game, and I'm like I'm like, what benefits Oregon the most would be for Washington to win, and then the first time something bad happens for them, like they fail on third down or something like that, just like my heart leaps, just like it absolutely sings,
ASU and the Apple Cup were exactly those.
And I'm just like, well, I guess I'm not, I guess I know what my heart wants, my heart wants them to lose.
I'm definitely like,
it doesn't affect me as an analyst. Like I really can make that, but like if anybody's listening to that and is like, oh, well, this person can't possibly be objective. Like all I can say is like, I promise you, when I'm sitting down and watching film and evaluating and running the numbers and all of that, like all of that goes away. It's just when I'm watching, as a casual, like live with beer in my hand, it's just that effect. Because like evaluating film, it's kind of weird. It's you kind of go into like a trance state, like because there's no way to like complete watching a film project, like do film study and like do it in any reasonable amount of like I finish doing film study in about an hour and a half or so, and it's like a total fugue state. Like I don't even like I barely remember what I've seen. Like it's all just in the notes. Like and it's like I'm totally tranced out, and like emotion has nothing to do with it. Like I'm like almost like dissociated from my body. Like it's but
being a sports fan isn't just about I want my team to do good. It's about I want my rivals to do bad.
Wow.
Yes, no, like
until your rivals need to do well to enhance your own program, and then in that case,
well, like I mean, at the same time, like you win your games, who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
I still think about Washington what I thought, back at the beginning of the year, which is that like it's not as complete of a team as it needs to be to go the distance.
But here they are.
Well,
yeah. We got this distance. I mean, they went the distance of winning the Pac-12, which is pretty dang
right. But what going the distance means is winning this game. When I wrote the preview that I wrote back in whatever it was, June, what I said, like go the distance, what I meant was, winning games like this. And what they're, playing when they play Texas is a team that is complete. Like look at their ratings, offense, defense, run, pass, all of it. Like it's, they are capable of playing, the short game, the long game, explosive rushing, like all of it, like, or look at their web graph, like, or look at their net EPA, like it's a complete team. Washington's, less complete. I'm not going to say that they're like incomplete or a one-dimensional team. They have it's not as simple as that, but like, they have one way of winning this game. And if Texas can, all they really need to do is like blunt that, Texas knows how Washington, needs to win this game. Like Texas has an easier path of game planning for winning this game. And, especially vis-a-vis, what Oregon had, in their 6 days of preparation, for playing the conference championship game, in which they probably thought that they were getting a different team that they wound up getting. Texas will have a month, literally exactly a month, December 1st to January 1st, in which they will know exactly the Washington team that they will get. And they will have a complete team that will be healthier. Or they will be in the spot, that Oregon, would have liked to be, and will probably play the game that Oregon would have liked to play. and we'll probably have the outcome that Oregon should have had, and which is why Vegas had, that line set at -9.5. Like Vegas wasn't a bunch of morons when they set that line for Oregon -9.5 against Washington. Like Washington didn't suddenly, like they didn't like prove all the haters wrong or like all that dumb shit that you read on Twitter. Like Vegas set that line because that's the correct line to set, and then football happened. Like it's still the correct evaluation of Washington as a not quite complete team. So
brutal.
Yeah.
There you go. There you have it. We have our picks. I guess I'm rooting for Texas in the playoffs if I have to root for any of those teams.
Yeah, baby doll.
I'm not rooting for Texas.
Yeah. I mean, I know
rooting against Washington.
Yeah. I mean, all these you're like Michigan cheated. Bama is Bama. Washington, gross. Texas, ugh. But
what?
I'm looking at one.
I'm rooting for Alabama because it's the funniest outcome.
It would be funny,
like,
especially all the controversy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be fun. And like out of all the things, like I don't want Michigan to get stronger. Maybe if Michigan won the playoffs, Jim Harbaugh would be like, that's enough, bye. And that would be good for us.
Like Alabama blowing out Michigan in the semis, the way that TCU did last year to them. And Georgia did the year before, like absolutely hilarious.
That is fun.
Absolutely hilarious, right? Like Harbaugh does all this stuff to like struggle through the Big Ten, and then gets to his bowl game, and then always loses in blowout fashion.
That would be great.
Game. Always hilarious, right?
I love that.
And then for Texas and Washington to play a total banger. Like would be great.
I want it to be a shootout. It'd be so fun.
But then for Alabama, the team that to get in, and then like all this controversy about Florida State being left out and the committee having to defend themselves or whatever, and then like Nick Saban, ultimate. Aaron, you spent a lot of time talking about Oregon being the villain, right? Like there's your villain. Like Nick Saban, who gets like foisted on the world by the committee, right? It just like casually smacks around, his apprentice, Steve Sarkisian. Oh my God, it would just be hilarious.
It would,
and the committee would be able to be like, yes, see everybody, like we were right.
I love it. Well, y'all, there's only one little bit here. First of all, for anyone who's going, where's the Quaxiball? Where's the Quaxiball? Let me just tell you, this episode was too big. We didn't have enough time. We're about to go
big
in only Quaxiball territory in the future. I'll just quickly say this. Women's team, they've played 2 games since we last played them. Both of them were wins. Both of them were be positive where this program's going. I think you would want them to be big wins, considering it was against Portland State and Southern University. Portland State, we beat them by 11. Wasn't very convincing. Philippine Shea had a good game. Southern University, we beat them 67-37, which is good. But again, I'm just not really taking anything out of that. We're playing UTSA next in Eugene. And then the men's team, I still am very much liking them. They beat UTEP 71-49. Sorry for your sister.
No, that's obvious though. It's not a sports school. I don't believe.
They've been a fun team to watch. They're getting healthier and healthier. Jackson Shellstad's coming in his own. Kuznard, hell yeah. So let's say for our super specific prediction, we're going for the game that is actually tonight, December 12th, 7 p.m. We're going against California Baptist. Okay. Eugene, Oregon. I know nothing about them. I assume we should be heavily favored. Aaron, do you have a prediction for the game against California Baptist tonight?
No, I don't. But I just want to use my time to say small steps lead to great leaps. And so I, for one, am excited about the 2 women's wins.
There you go.
And they're just going to build on it. It's happening. They're building themselves back.
They're going to build on it, and then they're going to transfer away in the offseason. All right, California Baptist, this is what I'm going to say. as you know, I am an adamant Baptist ever since Baylor beat us in the Final Four in the women's team. So I'm going to say the Baptist part of me is going to be very happy when California Baptist has a halftime lead. Fortunately for us, though, the Ducks are going to completely take over in the second half due to Brennan Rigsby hitting 3 3-pointers to help in the second half to help us set, to pull away. Hyth, today we don't talk much basketball with you, but do you have a super specific prediction?
Quendo will score in double digits.
Nice. Nice. I like that. Any thoughts on either of these teams? I mean, I know we're pretty late into it, but you've been watching much Duck basketball?
Chance Gray's got a upper 3-point shooting percentage. Like this going 1 for 7 from beyond the arc stuff is
we hit 1 3-pointer in a game that we won. That was the Portland State, I believe. I mean,
hey, they're taking my advice. Focus on the layups, baby.
We're not
the
getting
threes will come.
Either. We're not getting
focus on the basics.
University of Portland too beat us, so like I don't know. I mean, Duck fans are probably tired of hearing me complain about it, but I'm just kind of feeling like, do we want to make sure Kelly Graves' feelings aren't hurt, or do we want a good women's basketball team? Because I'm not putting it. I think you choose one or the other right now. I mean, I'm sorry. Like,
I hate to say that I've been calling out Kelly Graves for a while now, but if it's time.
I mean, they don't have a point guard when Peyton Scott got hurt. Like,
isn't that on him?
It is. I'm just saying this isn't going to change. Like, this team that you're looking at. Yeah. This is what you got all year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be this is all year, and then next year it's like if everyone if all of our best players stay, then we'll be able to build. But like right now, we got like no one on the bench that is giving us any meaningful minutes. And even the person that was supposed to be our point guard that's supposed to lead us is like, this is going to be our first year as a Duck. So, like, who knows how that would have gone out, or how well it'll go out next year. I don't know. I just feel like
there's too much volatile.
Could really rejuvenate this whole thing. You know, like either I forget both their names, but is it Mark Campbell, TCU's coach, who used to coach for us? He would be. I would love to steal him, or his old protege teaching Coach Nick in Colorado. Either of those two sound pretty freaking fantastic to me. Anyways, hopefully they prove us wrong. Go Ducks, y'all.
Yeah.
Quack quack. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for coming on the show, Hyth today. And
my pleasure.
Yeah.
Time, you guys.
Absolutely. Go Ducks. Bye.
Quack, quack.